And at this point, when you start researching themes well, I assume lyric writing is what you do. So for the band, then is the music then already kind of formed, or does that coincide with each other?
No, usually the music comes first. Okay. Also because it's a great way to test a riff. Is like, do I see something when I hear this? You know, like that is that. Hail the Apocalypse from the album before, such a clear example that I remember so clearly, that how it was played and everything, it felt like a countdown. It was so easy to just say 10, 9, 8, and that countdown, and also like a flight alarm, it felt like it was a countdown to something very, very bad happening. And again, like, okay, it's a bomb on its way down to Earth, and the end is near, and then and then suddenly all these visions and ideas around that, the Doomsday Prophet comes. And therefore, I start writing something, and that is how you know it's a great riff. And then it's a long process to make that into a really, really great song. But the vision was there, and that is, and when we have that, then we know we shouldn't let this idea go until we got it right. And it was just different with Feathers and Flesh. The difference was that there was, instead of having that, oh, cool riff, this could be whatever. This time it's like, I have this, and I need music to it. But we were still all free as musicians writing music to put every idea we had out there. And I would hear then, for instance, I don't know, Black Waters, in that riff that, this could be a Pike. It's a Pike song, which I already knew that we needed.
Right.
So it was more searching and sorting through ideas in that sense. And at the same time, using our favorite stuff. So it was interesting. It was a bit harder to keep those, instead of like having those two things connecting. Like it was three things that it has to be the best riff in the world, but it also has to fit in a pre-existing framework, and that we hadn't done like that before.
Well, in that sense, is that a difficult thing to do, those three things, to balance those things? Is that a long process?
It should have been, but honestly, it was a pretty fast written album. Not in hours maybe, but in days.
Right.
Like everyone is always writing, and there were ideas before, but I think it was around pretty much a year before the album came out where we said, okay, this is what this will be. And there was a bit of touring and stuff after that as well, if I remember.
But still, when you say in days or hours, like it's still a lot of. It's not like we just take a weekend off and let's write an album. Sure.
It was really hard, but I was surprised. Like, it's also one thing of it. We just took on way more work than we realized it would be to do this. Like, so for instance, we booked about the same amount of studio time as we had on Hail the Apocalypse, but we did a way bigger album this time. Also, again, just counting the minutes on it, it's an hour instead of 40-something minutes. And that makes a huge difference just in time you need. And each song had more layers in the production. The live choirs, the extra percussion, all these things. And we had to use 3 different studios. It was just a bigger beast that we had given ourselves more or less the same amount of time to pull off.
And when you're working on this album, do you have in the back of, because obviously you've released albums before, you have an audience, so do you have that in the back of your mind?
Nah. I think we would let our audience down by thinking too much about them. I think people appreciate in this band the same thing that we appreciate the most, that we do our thing, and we always try to figure out first and foremost what our thing is. And that is how we sound the best. And the good thing where we are very fortunate is once we were able to articulate this, that we can only write for ourselves. The only people that we should care to impress are each other, and put out something that is our new favorite album. That is, when we came to that point, is also when most of our success came. So which means that is our formula for success, and we always have that as a, we have that in our hands every time we argue with an A&R or a management or whoever, and we realize if we do an album that no one likes, they can say, I did not like this, and then they can check out the new Megadeth instead and move on with life. The only 5 people who truly can't do that, I mean, even the producer to some extent can do that, is the 5 of us.
Right.
We have to live with that work for the rest of our lives. and therefore we only answer to ourselves and only care to do what we like. But it turns out that we are, some pretty, we are metalheads. We are like our own audiences. Again, we were queuing there outside of everything between Cryptopsy and Blind Guardian since early in the morning to get to the first row. So that is who we are.
Right, but this is an interesting thing because well, you're artists now, you tour a lot, and so you don't generally, I suppose, get the perspective of the audience anymore. So do you still try to watch shows or keep up with what's going on?
I'm not trying to keep up, but like in the sense of like what's new out there. And I usually get into albums 1 or 2 years after they've been out and everybody already, and I am also very interested in what did I miss in spring of 1976. So no, but I definitely go to as many concerts as I can. I like music. I like bands. I like going to shows.
But because, well, the experience of seeing somebody else's play, I suppose, is vastly different than being on stage yourself. So do you look at how you can do the live show and that kind of stuff?
Yeah. Of course. We still let ourselves be inspired by other artists. I mean, we wouldn't have been here if we weren't inspired by other artists.
But that is like just as much with new bands or current artists as we go to YouTube and we check out Michael Jackson live in Bucharest 1992, and spend an entire evening on the tour bus just checking that entire concert out, But one thing that I think from doing what we do, all these shows, and we see all these bands and all these festivals and stuff, like, and you're a creative person yourself, you get like the threshold of what you think is good gets very high, like you have very high expectations, and at least I am like, so it happens very rarely that I actually watch an entire show with any current artist. It's like I see like 2 songs and then I'm
Yeah, I think we put very high standards on ourselves.
Well, exactly.
How we want the show to look and sound, and what we want our performance to be. So I don't know if the drummer and bass aren't in sync in a certain orchestra. That kind of, well, you guys need to. We have some advice for you guys to rehearse. So I definitely I agree to a certain extent on that.
Well, finally, because you touched upon what it means, what success means to you. Am I right in saying that you're looking out at America to see if you can get people there to follow the band?
Actually, we're looking more back to Europe finally right now. Okay. No, we had the United States has been for the last 4 years or something been really, really good to us, absolutely. And but now what we're doing right now is, as we speak, is to finally get to come back and do what we've been wanting to do here in Europe for a long, long time, and have Europe catch up a bit. Okay. So I mean, in the grand scheme of things, we are looking for just opportunities to go everywhere and do this the proper way. So there's no big American dream going on for us, but we just now happen to have had a huge, following there that keeps growing, and that's great. And I feel they need us.
Yeah.
Well, interestingly, why? Why do you think?
Oh, come on, you listen to American music? I mean, there are always great exceptions. Like we toured with too. Downfall 2012. And the other one that I can't think of now, that I think are
Painted Wives.
Is it them that opened for us?
Yeah, Painted Wives. Yeah.
Yeah, Painted Wives. Yeah, and who are amazing. So I mean, of course, there are very creative people creating wonderful music and performing it amazingly well. Also there, then you turn on the radio and hear our competition on the high rotation, and I just don't understand what's going on.
Well, this is interesting then, because the way the music landscape, so to say, is now, where do you think metal fits in? Because well, I think you played Fortarok.
Yeah.
So there is a big audience, but then radio play is still difficult. And
Yeah.
Over here, yeah. But
Yeah.
in America, there is actually rock radio stations and metal radio.
And then again, it's not like they play Strapping Young Lad and Cryptopsy
No.
on
Not
American
really.
radio either.
Right.
But I don't know, like where we fit in. I'm not sure if metal is supposed to fit in. You know, it's always a risky balance. You want to become bigger, but again, for me to sleep well at night, I would need it to be a certain thing. And if everyone on the whole planet would be into that certain thing, I wouldn't mind at all. You know, but. I don't know. Where does metal fit in today? Part of it is so different from country to country as well.
Okay.
I mean, I live in Finland now, and where it's totally feels way more mainstream,
Right.
like ingrained in their general popular culture in a different way. You know, every bigger town has a rock or metal bar. But in Finland, many places you have to look for a place that, like that the Irish pub or whatever, also plays at least Pantera. You know, so it's different thresholds again.
Okay.
And I don't know.
Well, but I suppose you don't worry about it too much. Like you said, you just try to make the music that you enjoy.
Yeah, we do our thing. Want to do it as well as possible. And again, luckily, that has seemed to be a good career choice for us. So we can continue to tell ourselves that by being self-centered assholes, we will find bigger and bigger success. And I like that.
I think that's a good ending. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.